So, first things first that I want to talk about is Nev Campbell did not return for season 2 to play the Raven. And no joke, they have like the funniest way that I've ever seen someone write a character out of the show. They say that she actually sucked at her job and she's actually from a town full of rapists. That is such a funny and stupid way to write someone out of the show. Like they're just like, oh yeah, she fucking sucks. She's from a town that rapes people. Boo! And now they got a different actor playing the Raven. She does fine. She doesn't get to do that much, in my opinion. She could have been better. I feel like this season was a bit too comedic. Like, I get it's a comedy show, but the other one I felt like had some really good serious moments. This movie, I feel like a lot of them this season, I feel like a lot of them are undercut. They introduced this new character named Mayhem. I don't really care for her. I didn't dislike her, but I didn't really care for her. They introduced a lot of new characters, and most of them are gonna die. They also did like this death race where all the characters are supposed to die, but like one or two of them will be able to, win a prize. Yet, at the end of the day, several of them survive. Both Quiet and John and the clown, Sweet Tooth, and Stu, and Mayhem. That's 5 whole characters. They introduced this new character named Dollface, who's John Doe's sister, apparently. I've never played the game, so I don't know if this stuff is from the games or not. So I'll try not to critique stuff too much if it's explained in the games, though I think it should be explained in the show. Dollface was lame. I'm gonna say it. Especially her death scene. You're in a death race, and everybody's driving these crazy cars. Sweet Tooth's in this big ass van. Other people are in cars. And for some reason, you think the smart choice is to do a death race on a four-wheeler. Now, the crazy dude that thinks he's collecting souls and stuff, and, he's riding on a bike. It makes sense that he's riding on a bike. But Dollface should be smarter than that. Why is she riding on, an open-aired vehicle? I do not really feel bad for her when she dies. You're doing a death race and you ride in that? And not only that, they were practicing for this race. And they were like, oh, we need as many people in this race as we can to try and bring down the walls. And she dies in the qualifying round. If she died in round 1, it would be anticlimactic. At least let her survive to round 2 or 3. But she dies in the qualifying round before the official race starts? And I'm supposed to give a fuck about this character? Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, really. I don't get it. There's about, I think, 11 episodes. Each episode came out. There's like 3 episodes when it originally came out that you got to watch. And then after that, they did 2 episodes until eventually they did 3 episodes on the final week. The race doesn't start till like the 6th or 7th episode. A lot of it is just, trying to develop the characters a little bit, which makes sense. The guy from Gotham, I forget his name, he was also in Barry. He played Victor Zsasz and NoHo Hank. He plays the main character, the main villain of this season. He's a lot of fun. He wears a wig for this season. It's pretty funny. And yeah, he was a decent character. I liked him. Uh, he doesn't get to do that much though. Sweet Tooth and Stu. We find out that Mike is apparently still alive, and he is now friends with this cannibal guy. And of course, the cannibal guy ends up going back to being a cannibal. And Stu gets in trouble for it. He should have just told him it was self-defense. Don't know why he didn't. He decides to frame it as a hanging. They decide to tell us later that, yeah, his reasoning was he didn't want to ruin Mike's version of that cannibal or whatever. So they decide to not punish Stu, but they stab Mike because he should have told him that he was a cannibal. I mean, this guy's been stalking people and stuff, and he has powers. I don't know why he didn't know this guy was a cannibal. And he wasn't exactly hiding it. He had talked about it a few times throughout the episodes. I mean, you would think he'd have cameras in the building that they're staying at. I decided to look up it. His name's Calypso, and the actor's name is Anthony Carrigan. But yeah, Calypso apparently didn't know that this guy was a cannibal. Don't know how. Don't know why. Then, they put fucking the creepy guy on trial that Sweet Tooth is beefing with because he burned Harold, Sweet Tooth's bag. And we learned that fucking Devon Sawa was Harold, which I think was pretty cool. He just kind of shows up, and yeah, he's Harold. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But to punish him for his actions, they steal his soul things, because throughout the show he's been talking in other voices of some of his victims he's killed, but they're friends now or something. That's really weird. He just goes around killing people, and he thinks they're his friends now because they're living inside of him. Funnily enough, even though there's two characters that we somewhat get to know, Jeremy and this one girl, I forget her name, they both get killed by him. As far as I remember, I don't think he ever uses their voices, which I think is a missed opportunity. But yeah, he loses the voices. Sweet Tooth's able to very quickly be like, hey, don't kill him. I want to kill him. But that's his whole thing. I don't get how Calypso was so easily swayed to not kill this guy just because Sweet Tooth wants to kill him. He's like, oh, I'm going to kill him because he killed Harold. And then, Sweet Tooth's like, no, wouldn't it be more fun to watch me kill him? And then Calypso's like, oh yeah, okay. What? There's this character, Axel. We find out that apparently he used to take care of Mayhem when she was little. That's kind of shoved in pretty late in the game, just so you can feel bad for him when he dies. But then he might not even be dead, because the post-credit scene at the end of the last episode implies that he might still be alive. So that felt unneeded. So that's another character that didn't die. That's 6 characters now. And Mayhem is also able to get out of the race because her car crashes, and Calypso announces that she's eliminated, but she survives the crash, but she's now out of the race because she can't drive. What? So people can be out of the race if they can't drive? That's a thing? It only happens to Mayhem. But you're telling me they could have fucking broke somebody's arms during the race, both arms, and they wouldn't be able to drive, right? And they could just be out of the race now and not die, even though the whole point of this race is that it's a death race. That makes very little sense to me. And it's very stupid of a way to keep Mayhem alive. Also, the last episode has something that I thought was kind of funny, kind of stupid. A few episodes in, John and Quiet decide to have sex while on a mission. And someone ends up like their clothes end up burning because of the fire. Actually, I was about to say somebody steals their clothes, but that's not what happens. The fire burns them, so they have to leave without clothes, and they're covering themselves. And John's sister Dollface and Mayhem are kind of laughing at both of them for being naked and having to cover themselves. Yet, in the last episode, Mayhem walks in on them having sex, and then she's like traumatized. She's like, "Oh my god, no!" And she's all grossed out about it. But like I said, the first a few episodes in, she just kind of thought it was funny that they were naked and that it was implied that they had clearly had sex. Like that, at least that's probably what she had thought, right? But now she's kind of like grossed out about it. I guess it's different walking in on someone having sex than just like seeing people naked and knowing they had sex. But I think it's funny. Stu's wish is to be able to be very far away from people and to be with Mike. But of course, Mike died during the race. So now he's put in space with a dead Mike. And that's such a dark and cool thing. I couldn't believe that they ended the episode like that. Then the next episode, they say he's not in space anymore. He was able to figure out a way to get down. Oh, way to ruin it. Way to ruin it. Okay. John and Quiet were then framed for blowing up the stands and killing a bunch of fans during the race. Even though it was Calypso who did that. So I think that's going to be the premise of season 3 if we get a third season. I think there was a lot of funny stuff about this season, a lot of stuff I liked. But them just not having the balls to kill so many characters was pretty lame. The only major characters they really killed was Sweet Tooth's rival, who was introduced this season. This weird toxic frog girl thing that eats bugs and apparently fucks bugs is killed. And the Raven is killed. But she's played by a different actor now. Who knows? They might not have even killed her if she was still played by Neve Campbell. The other characters didn't get that much screen time, and you didn't really care about them that much. Another minor criticism is the fact that Mayhem had talked to Quiet for a little bit and talked about how she's done a shit ton of murder. And later, apparently Quiet I don't know, Quiet is somewhat surprised that she hasn't killed anybody, but they don't mention that conversation from earlier. She kills this one douchebag by kicking him out of a window or something. And then she uses his car because her car is destroyed. I thought this was a pretty decent season, but I think I like season 1 more. I also thought it was pretty funny that the final boss in the show was a guy named Minion. Why would a character named Minion be the final boss? Aren't they supposed to be the henchmen of Final Boss? Oh, and yeah, I guess I gotta talk about another thing. Even though they killed Dollface in the 5th or 6th episode, Dollface reappears in episode 11. And it turns out she's the one under the Minion mask that Calypso had brought her back to life. So he kind of granted John's wish that John had canceled when John didn't even win the race. That's so weird.